Happening YouTube, I'm back with another video that I've been trying to do. On today's video, I'm gonna attach a firewall to a virtual machine. So I'm gonna configure my Cloud Shell first, and I'm gonna be using bash. So this lab I've been trying to do, I think I'm redoing this for the 5th time. It's either something goes wrong with my screen recording software or my mic wasn't working well. So this is like the 7th time I think trying. So to configure a Cloud Shell, we're gonna show advanced settings. If you don't know how to do it, this is how you do it. So you select a region and you select a storage account name. Make sure that you're using lower cases and your storage account name has to be unique, because they can also be used as static websites. But a file share, you can give it anything, any name. It doesn't have to be a unique name. That's what I'm trying to say. So I have a lab also in this channel where I was doing the same thing, but that was before I found a better way of making videos. So I was just screen recording without explaining, and I thought it's enough. But I realized when I watched some of the videos that it's not really helping when someone is not explaining. So on this video, I'm gonna be doing step-by-step explaining what I'm doing. So I'm gonna come to settings, increase the text size for people that can't see. So we accommodating everyone here. So yes, let's wait for our Cloud Shell and we'll take it from there. Okay, our Cloud Shell is ready. So the first command I'm gonna be using is AZ group list to get our resource group name. So I'm gonna use this symbol as, I don't know what they call it, but it's a minus symbol, and then use O. O stands for output, and then table. So I'm gonna get it in a table format. If I don't want it in a table format, you can press the upper arrow to go to the previous command that you have typed, and you can get it in a JSON format and other formats that are available, which I don't know all of them. So if we don't type the output that we want, let's see how we're gonna get it. Oh, so the default one is the JSON one. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna copy the resource group, and now we can clear our screen. So let's create our virtual machine. So to do that, we're gonna use azvm create, the minus symbol again, and use G space. So G stands for resource group. In this case, we paste the resource group. N stands for name. We give it my name, Leseja. And then the image, we're gonna use image. We're gonna use Ubuntu LTS. We're gonna have an admin username. Here I'm typing my own things here. Admin username, and then let's generate some SSH keys. Okay, I did a typo, but as I was saying, I'm typing my own things, so I used this one thing that is a minus. I'm supposed to be using 2. What else did I do? Typo, user admin user name. I didn't specify what is our admin username. Okay, so let's say VM demo. I think we should be fine now. Yes, so our virtual machine is ready. So now our next task is to install Nginx as a web server. So I'm gonna copy the public IP address of the virtual machine so that we can SSH into our machine. So I gave it a admin username of VM demo, add, and then paste the public IP address, and then we can say yes. And now we are into our Linux virtual machine. So let's do sudo apt update first before we can install Nginx. And then our next task, we're gonna sudo apt install Nginx. I'm typing my own things again. Nginx, and we have successfully installed Nginx. And to check that we can use Nginx, we just type Nginx, the minus thing again, V for vision, and then it will show us that we are running which version. So now I want to do this thing. I want to go to our virtual machine and open port 80, and then after that we're gonna copy the public IP address of the virtual machine, paste it on our web browser, and the Nginx page should load, and then we can move into our next task. So the reason why I'm doing this, I want to demonstrate something, so just stick around and you'll see at the end we're not gonna be using the public IP of the virtual machine to access the web server. We're gonna be using the one that we will create with the firewall. So under the virtual machine thing, you go to settings, then networking, and then under networking we under networking we configure our network security groups. So we're gonna add an inbound rule, so we can leave it as the default any, and then service we can open HTTP, and we can specify priority of 100, and then we can just leave it as it is and add the inbound rule. And then let's open a new tab and paste the public IP address of the virtual machine. As soon as it is done deploying, the Nginx page should load. Let's just give it a couple of seconds. Okay, we don't have to wait for it, it will find us on the way. So the next task is to configure a subnet, which is a special subnet for our firewall in Azure, which is /26 or lower. So here's our Nginx page, and pay attention to the IP address we are using now, and the IP address we're gonna be using at the end. So let's go ahead and go to our visual networks. And now we can select the visual network we have. And let's go under subnets to create a new subnet. Let's add a subnet and give it. Okay, another special thing you have to do is to write it as Azure firewall subnet, I think. Yeah, Azure firewall subnet. Azure firewall subnet, and give it a /26 and save it. So if you don't have a special subnet for the firewall, when you are trying to configure a firewall, it won't show it, the deployment won't succeed because it will not recognize a special subnet in your visual network. So make sure you always do it. And then let's go to the search bar and search firewall. And let's create our firewall. So let's go to another tab to check the location we've been using, because they have to be in the same region. So yeah, okay, it's loading. This video is gonna take a bit longer, so just stick around, pause, grab yourself something to drink and come back and finish watching. Okay, let's select our resource group. Let's give it a name of firewall. Let's give it South Central US. I think that's where my resources are deployed, especially my visual network, I think. Okay, so all my resources are in this location, so everything looks fine. Let's use a standard SKU, and then let's use firewall rules classic to manage this firewall. You will see in the next step that we're gonna be doing how we're gonna use this, how this rule will work for us. And then let's select our visual network, create a new public IP address. Let's give it IP fire. It will stand for firewall, but in a workplace environment, I think you just have to find proper naming for these things. But for the sake of this demo, it's fine. So let's review and create. Our validation passed, so let's create the firewall. So create our firewall is done deploying. Let's go to the firewall. Let's click the firewall, and let's copy our private IP address. Let's go to the search bar and search route table. Let's create a route table. Again, we're just gonna the name of the route table, I'm just gonna give it route. It's fine. Okay, route table, and then it doesn't take long to create this one, so Our deployment is complete. So now let's go to our route table and configure some routes. And so the first thing we're gonna do is to go under settings, click routes, add a route. So our route name, let's just name it route. And then the destination prefix address is it's gonna be IP address, so it's gonna be from anywhere. And then next hop is gonna be our visual appliance, and then our next hop, that's where we use our private IP of a firewall. And then step number 2, we're gonna come here to subnet, to associate, then select your visual network that you're gonna be using and its default subnet of the visual network, and click OK. And then we can now configure some firewall rules. We're almost there. Let's go to firewall. So under settings, we're gonna do rules, classic in brackets. So we're gonna add a network translation rule, network address network? Yes, it's network address translation. I think that's that's the name. Yes, I was confused a bit. So we're gonna just name it net rule. Priority, let's just give it 100. And then net rule. Protocol, TCP, source type, IP address. We don't have to edit much there. It's just IP address. Source, we're gonna just say from anywhere. And then the destination IP address, it has to be IP of our firewall. Let's copy the public IP of our firewall and let's paste it to destination address. And then our destination port is 80. Translated address is the one of the private IP of a virtual machine. So with this thing, it's either you're gonna watch this video again and again, or you can make your own personal notes so that you don't get confused. Just have your own documentation somewhere of these things. And our private IP, here it is. Let's copy it and let's paste it here. And then our translated port is 80 again. Okay, so here I'm getting a red line. I think there's a space that I have to delete. Yes, and then we can say add. So our firewall is updating. So remember, we used this public IP of our virtual machine, but for the sake of this lab, actually, let's because we no longer need it, let's go to our virtual machine and remove this public IP from the virtual machine. So to remove this, you're gonna go to the NIC network interface card of the visual network. So you're gonna find it under networking, and our NIC is this thing over here, network interface. Click it and then go to IP configurations. Yes, so here's our public IP address of the firewall. Where am I supposed to go? So we're gonna paste it, IP configurations, and come here. Yes, and then we can deassociate this. No. So here it is. Yes, we're gonna paste it, and we should get an Nginx page loading. So let's wait for it. The network interface card. So okay. So here you can see, to show that this is public IP of the firewall, this page, and we have successfully attached a virtual machine. Okay, so here's the public IP of a firewall, and we have attached. So here's the public IP address of the firewall, and we have attached a firewall to a virtual machine. So thanks for watching, and look out for more videos like this in the future. So here you can see this site can be reached. So yes, it has been saved. This site can be reached. Now let's paste our public IP of the firewall. Where's our firewall again? Okay, let's just go to the search bar and copy the public IP. So here it is. We should now get an Nginx web server what page to show that it's working. And here it is. We completed our lab for today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more and suggest this to anyone that needs this information.